use a minute to just tell us about yourself, introduce yourself and your company, and tell us how extensive technology is used as a part of your business operations.
I am Javette Nixon, President and CEO of Point Global Marketing. Point Global Marketing is an integrated marketing and branding firm. We have been around for just a little under 3 years. And if you know anything about where marketing is going now and where digital technology is going now, almost 90% of our activities are driven by technology and the use of technology, whether that technology is web-based technology or some other type of technology, but it's just really a big part of our business. The truth is, if looking back, I think it was always a part of me, because in school, you started all of these little ventures with your friends. You kind of have all of these little ideas and projects that you want to start. You have for everything from clothing line to magazines to eventually looking at real estate and all these things that I was in high school. So looking back, I would say it was always a part of me. But initially, I never thought of it that way. This was just what I was doing. It was what I liked doing when I was in high school, and that's what I was doing at the time. But after I graduated university, started in the working world, and started to really understand about business, and thought about starting my own business. I kind of really got down to thinking about what I want to do and what I'm passionate about, and in a lot of ways, like other entrepreneurs, I started Point Global because I had some amount of frustration. It might have not been a frustration with the work environment, but I had frustration with when I looked around and saw what other small businesses were going through with their marketing and not being able to properly structure their marketing and not being able to afford the expertise. I saw a niche that I could take advantage of. So as a result of that, that's why I decided to start Point Global.
How do you differentiate a tech entrepreneur from an ordinary entrepreneur?
I think a tech entrepreneur is someone who really looks at the tech industry and tries to deliver innovation through either web or hardware or technological hardware. And the difference, I would say, is that distinction. Entrepreneurs who are using web or some other mechanical innovation like a mobile device or something like that, those are tech entrepreneurs. People who are trying to just buy and sell and trade and all of that. While it's very valuable, I wouldn't classify them, even if they're using technology, as tech entrepreneurs. It's really a reliance and a dependence on the technological space and technological innovation to create businesses.
So apart from the problem solving and the added on value, what other characteristics do you see yourself or other technopreneurs might have that will contribute to our success?
One of the things is that you have to be able to handle obstacles and difficulties very well. One of the best advice I got when I started, and it's from somebody who was younger than me, was that when you're doing something that has never been done, and most entrepreneurs that are tech entrepreneurs are doing something that has never been done. There may be versions of it out there, but they are trying to bring their own innovation to it. There is bound to be frustration. If you're doing something that has never been done, you're bound to have obstacles and challenges, and your timing might be wrong in terms of when you think that the development time from concept to getting into market might be wrong. But you have to be fearless. You have to be able to overcome those challenges. Beyond that, you have to be really, really passionate about what you're doing. Because especially in Jamaica, you're always going to find somebody who's going to tell you, oh, I don't think this can work, or I don't see how you're going to be able to make money from it. But one of the things that we forget, and we need to remind ourselves, is that there are 7 billion people in the world, or close to 7 billion people in the world. If something don't fit exactly in the box for a 2.5 or 3 million population, there's a world out there. There are always niche markets that you can find, and as the one name suggests, my company, Point Global Marketing, we believe that there's a global marketplace out there that Jamaican entrepreneurs and tech entrepreneurs particularly can take advantage of. So one, I would say be fearless, But two, be really passionate about what you believe in, and and feed off that passion, and also be open to mentorship and advice. Some of the best advice you will get is when you're not even expecting it. And you'll also get advice from people who you are able to seek out and to align yourself with, and they will give you great advice as well. So be open to all sorts of advice, whether or not that's somebody who is sitting in a waiting room with you, or that's somebody who is a CEO of a really big company, or that's just another entrepreneur that is in the same struggle that you are in and can give you some guidance.
The generation coming after us. How can we hone that?
It has to start in the schools. One of the things that is very important that a lot of Jamaican schools don't teach is programming. Programming needs to be a part of the curriculum across the board. Basic programming in kindergarten and basic schools. And as when I used to when I was in high school, I heard about math and English and science. I do a math and English and science subject. I think one of the things that has to be added to that is programming. And just over the weekend, I was reading a publication that said, 15 years ago, 90% of the jobs that are out there people didn't know that they existed. And that's what's going to happen. So we are preparing our population for jobs that don't exist yet. In the same publication, I was talking about drone technology, robotics, mechanics, engineering. Those are the skills that we need to pass on to our kids. If we're not passing those skills on, then we are wasting our time. So we have to really revolutionize our education system and transform our education system to make sure that things like programming and engineering is a bigger part of the curriculum, and math as well is a bigger part of the curriculum, and technical skills. Jamaica has a problem with technical skills, but the fact is technical skills are needed. Computers are hardware devices. You have to be a technical person to operate them. The fact is we need to invest in those kind of things. So it has to start with our education system. Well, one of the things that you'll have to deal with is the Jamaican bureaucratic system. In Jamaica, to start a business and to do it right, to make sure that you're tax compliant, to make sure that you go out to all of these government agencies and get all of those things started out. It can be a very difficult process, especially when you don't have a lot of money. You're a one-man operation when you're just starting out. To go to company's office, then NHT, then NIS, then depending on what you're doing, if you want to provide services to government, you have to go to National Contracts Commission. You got to go to the Hartress NTA. And just doing business generally, even after you're registered, you still have to get to those places to get clearance letters, to get TCC, so it can be very, very difficult. It's not what small business people should be doing. What small business people should be doing is spending time to perfect their ideas, to refine their business ideas, and to get their products and deliver it to their customers. When you spend too much time doing unproductive things, it can be very taxing and very costly to your business. So those are some of the obstacles that you'll have to be able to face, and you'll have to find a way of getting the motivation to get these things done, and use the help that you can. When you're starting out, as much help that you can get, whether it's your sister, your brother, your uncle, your auntie, it doesn't matter. Somebody you meet casually on the bus who tell you that they work somewhere, that you can say, hey, you can drop this form off for me. You really have to do all of those things to basically overcome those obstacles. So that's where passion comes in, because you're going to get beat up, you're going to get discouraged, you're going to be in one government place for a whole day, and can't do any business, can't make a difference that you want to make. So you have to be prepared for that. What brought me the most joy wasn't being able to pay myself. It wasn't even starting the business. What brought me the most joy was when I delivered to a client, and a client said, look, you guys blew my mind. You are fantastic. And I remember that first time it happened, it was worth it. Just to be able to create something that somebody saw value in, and that's what blew my mind. That's what just was as you referred. The only thing I can really and truly compare to it was when my son was born. Because it was really fantastic. It was a really fantastic feeling. So I think that's what's rewarding. Some of the frustrations are tough to deal with. Some of the issues are tough to deal with. But after you get to a period of time and after you have done some amount of work and people see value in what you have created and willing to identify with it, willing to say, though these guys are good at what they do, there's tremendous satisfaction from that.
Are there any leading entrepreneurs that you would readily identify as mentors for you beyond just the networking relationships that you have with persons that you just mentioned about?
There are a number of business leaders that I look up to, and some of the people who inspire me are not even business leaders, but they're just leaders in their own right. But from a business perspective, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, internationally in Jamaica, people like Gordon Butch Stewart, what he has been able to do with the Sandals Group. He's not a tech entrepreneur, but he has really brought innovation and really built a global brand. I admire that. Michael Leachin from NCB, those people inspire me. But even younger entrepreneurs that are coming up, Tyrone Wilson, what he has been able to do with eMedia Interactive, Gordon Swaby, who has really brought innovation to the education sector, and people outside of entrepreneurship as well. Like you saying, both the fact that this person is so dominant coming from Jamaica, which says to me that, look, regardless of what you're doing, you can be really dominant. And that's coming on the heels of other people, Marcus Garvey, who was again a very dominant force from Jamaica, and Bob Marley. So there have been a number of people who have inspired me to say, look, there are really no limits to what you can achieve if you're, one, very passionate about what you're doing, two, willing to overcome the obstacles, and three, willing to basically find people who are able to inspire you. One of the things that you learn in school is the Industrial Revolution, and how it was through automation was able to create factories that kind of expanded consumption and all of that. But one of the things that in our lifetime, because the internet wasn't really, the internet came about like in 1960, when the initial conception from the American government started. It's really just over 50 years. The growth and expansion of commerce, connection through social media, and just the explosion of business activity as a result of the internet dwarfs the Industrial Revolution. And the internet and internet-based businesses is really new. We have begun to even see the full innovation come from those activities. If you're 18 to about 35, you grew up with the internet. But the real difference is going to be big for the generation that will come after us. Because they will not only grow up with the internet, it will be a part of their life. And I probably won't be around to see, but it's going to be fantastic what the world is going to be in the next 50 to 100 years, because that's when really technology will be a real part of our lifestyle. You're hearing things like wearable tech these days, you're hearing a lot about social media and the social web, but innovation hasn't even begun in the tech space. I know that we think we're doing exciting things, but I'm pretty sure the generation that will come after us is going to just blow us out of the water, because they will be comfortable with it.
What then do you think is the role of government in facilitating tech entrepreneurs?
Get out of people's way. In a very basic way, just get out of people's way. If governments allow entrepreneurs to do what they are good at doing, which is innovating, it will bring value. Not only bring value in terms of great products, it will bring value in terms of real foreign exchange earning, real tax earnings to the government. So any government anywhere in the world, they have a very simple job to do. One, reduce bureaucracy that will prevent people from innovating. And two, just stay out of the way of innovation. There's certain things that the government just should not be involved in, and the more they get involved in it, the more bureaucratic it becomes, the more difficult it becomes to innovate. One of that is the technology sector. You know, Jamaica is a .jm.com. You know, that's one of the things that we need to sort out properly. It's at the University of the West Indies, regulated now. But those things like that, and there are other things in Jamaica, you know, the ability for people to process international payments. I know that the government has been trying through Julian Robinson and his ministry, but you really need to focus on ways of making things very simple, making even financial regulations very simple for an entrepreneur. I went to the US to open a bank account. It was simpler for me to open a bank account in the US than a Jamaican citizen to open a bank account in Jamaica. That's nonsense, and those are the things that we'll have to deal with.
How do you think the incubator experience has helped you, and should it be replicated across the rest of Jamaica and even the Caribbean?
It's being an incubator is the best decision that I made for my business. I'm sure that if I wasn't in an incubator, I would be behind where I am now. Here is why. You're in an incubator, you meet other entrepreneurs that have gone through what you are going through. So you're able to learn from their experience, you're able to connect with them, you're able to be a part of a collegiate of CEOs who are fighting the fight just as you are. When you're having a bad day, you can basically pop into their office and them say, look, I went through this. You know, this is what I did. So I think if we could have a one in every single teaching institution, including high schools, I would say do it. Because it can only redound to the benefit of the people who are participating. Not only that, they have teaching experience, and if you are an entrepreneur and you're isolated from the wider economy, meaning that you're out there somewhere that is not a part of our ecosystem, then you don't always know what is happening. So when you're starting out, it's important to be able to tap into that. You know, some people access it through associations like Small Business Association or PSOJ, but an incubator is also a very a good place to be able to get that kind of exposure and that kind of collegiate experience. So I would say absolutely.
Without giving away any trade secrets, right? Where do you get your ideas from? And what you mentioned about, you know, this networking with persons and so on, but just to help other persons who might be thinking, but I can't think of any idea that I would want that's out there that I can start. How would you advise them?
You know, I was in the conference once, and other conference, a workshop, and the presenter was Tony Hart, who is one of Jamaica's most successful CEOs or entrepreneurs. And he says he comes up with 50 business ideas, like every hour. You know, like he just like some of them was the matter with them, but he walks everywhere and comes up with ideas. What I would say is, with all of things that we're excited about, with all of things that will inspire us, start with those things. That's what I do. I look for the things that I am passionate about. You know, if I am passionate about something, I tend to want to know more about it. I tend to want to so if you are passionate about fashion, you know, spend time on the things that inspire you. If you're passionate about family and you're passionate about kids, then basically spend time on those things and try to differentiate and bring innovation through the things that inspire you. You know, one of the things that I started to do very early when I started is look at the problem, find a solution, and then try to find a completely different solution for it. So, you know, you cannot try to think out of the box. Don't go for the obvious answer all the time. We all know that 1 + 1 = 2, but can we get to 2 another way? You know, so try and think out of the box, bring innovation to things that you're passionate about, and use those things to inspire your journey. You know, a lot of us don't become a tech entrepreneur because you think it's the hard thing to do. We do what you're passionate about. You know, one of the things that I look at is the digital space. I know people talk about newspapers are dying, right? And a lot of people are going digital and newspapers are dying. But what happens is that as soon as enough people go digital, newspapers become that more valuable. So even if people think that, look, this is the brand new thing to do, sooner or later something else is going to be the brand new thing to do. So if you're flippant, you're not going to be ever settled and be able to concentrate on what you're doing. You have to really be passionate about it, because I'm sure the last newspaper who is going to do the printing is going to be very valuable, and they're going to reward their shareholders wonderfully. So you have to really go with your gut. I tell my staff members this too. Go with your instincts. Trust yourself. The reason why you're here, or the reason why you're hired is because the company saw something in you. Right? So we trust you, so trust yourself. And it's the same thing for entrepreneurship. You have to really trust yourself and trust your gut. And just do what you're doing and try to just bring innovation to it.
What's the response to the term failure?
I don't know anybody who doesn't fail. You know, so some of my biggest lessons come through failure. My first business failed. Actually, I don't even consider it a failure because I would not have been able to learn the lessons that I learned without going through that. So you're going to have obstacles. I consider it obstacles. You know, it's like an obstacle race. You just have to get over it. Nothing is. I don't know what that term failure means. I think it's a misnomer because I don't know that anybody fails. You know, you go through something, you grow, you learn. I think if you don't grow and you don't learn, then is where you have a problem. You know, if you keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results, that's insanity. And I think it's more, maybe we should call the term insanity more than than necessarily a failure, because failure teaches you so much. You know, it has taught me so much. You know, every time I made a mistake with a staff matter with my HR, and I learned from it. Sometimes I made mistakes. Like on a daily basis. You know, but at the end of the day, tomorrow I come back and I try to understand what I have done wrong, and I move on. It's a part of business. If you're a failure, I don't know that you need to be in business, honestly. You're just not going to work for you because you're going to have periods of failing. The next thing again that a lot of people, that this might sound away, but you know, some people will say I'm a perfectionist. If you are a perfectionist, you're going to have a problem in business, because the point of business is not necessarily to be perfect all the time, but to basically work at it. You know, and a lot of people, I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who say, "Yo, I want this idea to be perfect." If you wait on it to be perfect, you will never bring it to the market. You know, and so one of the things that you have to really learn is that yes, there are going to be failures, but you have to be willing to pull back, examine, and move on. And you have to treat perfection in the same way. It's a work in progress.
What about funding? Where do you see the role of funding? Should it be the government? Should it be the private sector? What about crowdfunding and how that is starting to play an impact?
You know, we discuss funding a lot in Jamaica, and funding is vital. Funding is blood for businesses, you know, so it's very important. But there are other things that are as important as funding. And funding doesn't necessarily always mean, you know, getting funds from somebody. Because if you have a really good business, think about it, who people really want to connect with, people want to do business with, and you are able to sell as much as you can. Funding shouldn't be a problem for you. You know, so if you spend time in tax office, clearly you can't develop that really good business. So while what I'll say about funding is, while funding is very important, and it has to be a public and private partnership to get businesses out of the rut and really going in proper direction, there are also other things that can be done to facilitate the growth of businesses. Businesses can grow organically. The system just has to be able to facilitate that. But further on the funding side, it has to be also simpler for businesses to be able to communicate their ideas to funding agencies. And one of that is that small business people have to take responsibility for their own business ideas. You know, perfect your pitch. Know what you want. Spend time on your business plan. If you're not willing to spend 6 months on your business plan and refine it and make sure that you have your acts done properly, don't expect somebody else to do it for you. So one of the things that small business has to do is take responsibility for the outcomes of their own success. You know, spend time working out your acts and making sure that you spend that hour or that day in tax office so you get your TCC clearance. Make sure that you connect with somebody who can help you work out your finances, so that when you go to the bank, you can say, here, I have my financial statements. It might be in-house statements, but I have them. I know what I am making. Can you help me grow my business? And one of the things that we have to be very clear about when we're entrepreneurs is that the first responsibility to grow your business is yours. It's nobody else. It's not the funding people. It's all the government. It's yours. So you have to really perfect your acts. But beyond that, if the government gets out of people's way and people are able to innovate and to grow, one, you can grow organically. And if you get to a stage where you really need funding, then you'll be in a position to perfect your acts. Even if you're doing crowdfunding, which is a new innovation, personally, I have some problems with it because when a lot of things in crowdfunding has not been tested. For example, ownership rights has not been tested in crowdfunding, which is going to be a problem down the road. Think about if Facebook was a crowdfunded website. Everybody would want a piece of it. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. And those things haven't been tested really in crowdfunding. So while I encourage innovation and it's something new and it's something very exciting, I think there is going to be some amount of movement in how it operates and how it grows. But even if you're going there, you need to perfect your pitch. You need to know what you're asking for, and you need to be very clear in your mind so that other people can be very clear in their mind how they can assist you.
Just generally, the advice you'd give to a young graduate starting out, probably have studied ICT and really want to get into this kind of space?
I'd say two things. One, there are two types of entrepreneurs. There are entrepreneurs that start businesses, but there are entrepreneurs that seek to create innovations in spaces that already exist. Nothing is wrong with joining a firm that is doing something that you are passionate about and helping that firm to be innovative. So don't say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, so I'm not going to get employed. You get technical skills when you work for other people. You learn the business. There's a lot of business you can't just jump into it. You have to learn from experts. You have to learn from subject matter experts. You have to grow your knowledge base. So don't be afraid, even if you're passionate about starting your own business, to get to know your industry and to learn from somebody who is doing it and to try and innovate in that space with an existing firm. But as soon as you realize that, look, I've gotten the knowledge, I've gotten the experience that I'm here for, you can seek to branch out and just do what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about tech, meaning hardware, build hardware. Build hardware, partner with somebody who is doing software and bring it to the market. If you're passionate about software, do it. If you're passionate about mobile and mobile apps, our website, or graphic design and animation, bring those, just be passionate about it and go after it. But don't be afraid to innovate in the space that you're in.